Real digital humans.
Hi, this is Stefan Albert with the Real Digital Humans podcast, and today I have a special guest, Jagdish Kumawat. Jagdish is actually our CTO at Asia, and he'd like to share a little bit about himself and his experiences today, and try and answer that really important question that a lot of people have been asking us, like, well, how do we go ahead and just create a LLM style, so large language model based chatbot as easy and quickly as possible, and integrate that into a website. So, Jagdish, maybe to begin with, I think the listeners would love to hear a little bit more about your background and where you've worked prior to joining Aisha.
Okay. Yeah. So before joining Asia, I worked at Infosys. Uh, my main focus is in building chatbots using Microsoft technologies, especially Microsoft Bot Framework. And in terms of channel, my expertise is in building Microsoft Teams bot as well as web chatbots. So in Infosys, I've mostly worked on the chatbot side. Apart from chatbot side, I also worked on the robotic process automation and big data technologies. And after joining Asia, I started working on the digital human. Even that was a new technology for me, but we quickly picked up the tech and we have a working digital human tech now, completely on the Azure stack.
Yeah, very cool. And you've been a absolute amazing player in Asia, really owning that whole tech stack over the past year. But things have changed a lot in the world of chatbots since you were probably at Infosys and more recently. So when you think about the type of questions that you've been fielding with customers, how would you describe the work and the needs of these customers today?
Okay. Earlier, in terms of traditional chatbot, I can say those are called as rule-based chatbot, where you define a rule and then you follow the rule based on the user's conversation when he's having the conversation with the chatbot. For example, you show a list of buttons to be clicked on, then when user clicks on one of the button, then you show another set of buttons. That's a rule-based chatbot. You follow a sequential conversation. There is no break in between. If you try to break the conversation, you might break the chatbot, or chatbot might not understand things which are not in that context, particular context.
Hmm.
So in
Yeah.
terms of, with the recent advancement of the generative AI and large language model, this has been overcome. So now most of the chatbot can understand the natural language. That's the great part. So you ask the
Hmm.
question in natural language, large language model can understand your context and even extract some information from your natural language, which is much more beneficial compared to the traditional conversational language understanding technologies. So with respect to advancement of OpenAI technology and especially the function calling feature, this has been achieved at a greater level in understanding users' context as well as replying back with the user's context in it.
So you brought up one of the critical things. So, obviously with large language models, it will create an answer based on whatever data it has behind it in high quality natural language. Um, but then what can it actually do? So one thing is to have a conversation, and another thing is actually to be able to drive some automation. And the new function calling is one of those features that enable you to actually connect a large language model up to your existing systems. What are maybe one or two examples that you've seen or that you've actually developed in this space?
Okay. So one of the example is chatting with your own data. That's the mostly used feature, I can say, tech mostly most organization currently implementing. They have a
Hmm.
huge amount of data and they want to search based on the natural language provided by the user. So training your own data with this large language model is the one important use case that most of the organizations are building right now. And even I have worked
Hmm.
on so many of this, one for Microsoft Teams, another for chatbot, and now we are also doing it for the digital human.
Yep. And an example of function calling.
Oh yeah, function calling. Yeah, let's suppose you have an example. Let's take an example of e-commerce chatbot. You provide a set of instructions to the large language model, and it large language model will follow those instructions by having a conversation in a more realistic manner. Let's suppose you provide large language model with a list of products that you have, along with any customization options inside that products. And if user comes and asks the chatbot, then it will just reply based on those products that you currently have in your catalog, and it will have a conversational way. You let's suppose you
Hmm.
define a conversation that asks the user their preferred choices and put them in cart, and then after user has confirmed that he's buying the product, then just make a payment or deliver to the user, or feed the database with the respective information that user has selected in their preference.
So I think in the old chatbot world, it was called slot filling. So it
Yeah.
needs these five variables, these five data points. Okay, which color do you want to buy? What size? Where should we ship it to? Do you want insurance with that or whatever? And you would need to be able to, let's say, either do them manually, or you'd have slot filling. You'd have to ask them one question after the other, or using slot filling, answer those elements in
Correct.
advance. But here, it just has a natural conversation, and we'll make sure that it asks all of the relevant questions to complete all of those variables until it's happy that it has received all of those variables. And then it will send that off as a function that you can then apply into your database, for example. Does that
Yes.
sound about right?
Yes, exactly.
So a lot of the conversations I've been having, people are super interested. If they haven't started on that journey, they'd really love to understand. Let's start with something simple, like how quickly could I get a chatbot, LLM-based chatbot up and running on my website? Let's not focus on the digital human aspect just yet. Just a standard text chatbot based on LLM technology. Is this something that you could build live
Yeah, sure.
for us
We
to
can
give a
use
very quick example?
yeah, we can use Azure OpenAI Studio that's powered with all the features and functionality that we can quickly upload our data and connect to a live chatbot.
Okay, well, should we do that now? Do you want to give it a go?
Sure. So first thing, in order to the prerequisite is you should have a Azure subscription, valid Azure subscription, and also you should
Hmm.
have access to Azure OpenAI service. To request
Hmm.
access, you can go to official documentation. You'll have a link at the top itself to request the access.
Yep.
So
Mhm.
once you have access to the Azure OpenAI, then you can come to your Azure portal and create Azure OpenAI resource. So we already have created, but let me show you how you can create the resource. Okay. This is a service that you need to provision.
And the good thing is, it's good to have some technical skills and some basic knowledge of how to use Azure. But actually, you don't need to be a coder to do any of this. This is all possible
Correct.
for non-coders, at least at this stage that we're currently at.
Yes, that's correct. So few things to consider before creating Azure OpenAI resource. Let me just show you that. Um, let's suppose you're sure about the model that you're using. You need to sure that
Hmm.
that model is available in certain region, because there are many models: 3.5 Turbo, GPT-4, GPT-4 Turbo, embeddings. So you need to check what regions support what models. So that's the first prerequisite. You can go to the official documentation. In there, it is mentioned which model is supported in which and all regions. So under models, yeah. So these are the list of models that are supported, and here is the region. Yeah, GPT-4, GPT-4 Turbo are supported in these regions. Similarly, 3.5 model is supported in these many regions, even the 16K instruct and embeddings model. So each model supported in separate regions. You can choose the one that mostly supports all the models. So based upon my experience, East US and North Central US supports almost all the models. If you are if you're specifically implementing a use case using the vectors, then you need to choose where embeddings models are supported. So let's try to use this one for now. So this one is supported. I'll be selecting East US, and I need to check the chat where chat models are supported. Is it supporting East US or not? So I'll go back to 3.5 turbo, and let's say I'll be using this model 0613, and it is supporting East US. So we can pick this East US region.
Mhm.
And coming back here, you can put it into create a news resource group, or you can put it into an existing one. And here you can choose the region, name of the resource, and the pricing tier. So only these details are required, and then you can provision your resource. Once that is done, you, let's open it.
Now, just to save time, you've already done this in advance.
Yeah, correct. So we can use once you have provision, you can open it up and you'll see a similar interface with the overview, access control, keys, endpoints, and there you will see the go to Azure OpenAI Studio. So this is the place where we'll be developing a lot of stuff. It is a no code platform, I can say, where you can just upload your document, configure some settings, and you have a chatbot ready.
Okay, so this feels all very good for, let's say, as a testing space, but then you can actually go ahead and also implement it once you're ready and once you're happy with it, then you can go ahead and implement that directly as a everyday use chatbot, let's say on
Correct.
your website. Is that right? Okay.
Yes. Okay. So here we have bunch of options. If you're coming here for the first time, you will see the models that are supported in your OpenAI resource. And before starting to work with any of the model, you need to deploy them. Select one model, click on deploy. Ideal practice is give the same name as the deployment name. That's the ideal
Mhm.
practice. Then you can remember that, okay, what model you have selected. Let's suppose if it has multiple versions of it, then you can give the like something like 0613 as the deployment name, just to differentiate between the deployments that you're creating. Okay. So once you deploy your models, it will be coming up here under deployments. So let's deploy a few of them. I'll be going ahead with 0613 model. Let's deploy that. And under advanced options, here you can configure your tokens per minute rate limit. Currently, it is by default it is 1000, but you can configure till 240,000. It may vary depending on your subscription and your usage. It may vary. You can also request for additional tokens per minute rate limit. And let's create that. And I may also need text embedding ADA 002 model for creating vectors. So let's deploy that as well. Okay. So we have the two models deployed and those are coming up here. GPT-3.5 Turbo and text embedding. Okay, so once you have models deployed, you can go to chat and here you can see add your data option. If you do not add your data as of now, the current behavior is a simple chat GPT. What all data it is trained on in the whole world, whole internet is available right here. The similar chat interface that you see on the OpenAI, like chat.openai.com, same chat interface, you can have it here. It's just that you'll not see the history on the left hand side, but you can have the same behavior over here. Here you can choose the model
But
that you.
typically people,
Mhm.
Mhm.
Yeah, go ahead.
I was just going to say, people are typically looking for not just a generic Chat GPT answer on their website. They want it to be specific to their brand, their knowledge, their data sets, and to be able to get some kind of trusted quality answer that is specifically relevant to them. So I think that's
Correct.
really, really critical, this ability to add your own data and
Yes.
search it effectively. Yeah.
Yeah. So on the configuration panel, you can choose the model that you want to start with. And on the
Hmm.
parameters, you have few additional properties like how much large response you want from ChatGPT. Currently, by default, it is set as 800 tokens, temperature zero point 0.7, like how unique a response you want from the ChatGPT. So this is all properties here. You can set it to, you can refine it based on the use case. It may work for some of the use case, it may work at zero. For some of the use case, it may work at the higher level. You can refine it and test in your use case scenario. Okay. So let's go to, okay, here one more thing, system message. So if you have additional instructions to give to ChatGPT, you can always provide those additional instructions. Some of the templates are here. Let's suppose you're building it as text chatbot, marketing writing assistant, Xboss. So let's pick up some and let's see what's the system message is all about. So here we are giving instructions to the machine, like you are an IRS chatbot whose primary goal. So here we give all the instructions that machine can follow while replying back to the user. Okay. For now, we'll go with the standard default system message. You are an AI assistant that helps people find information. You can also refine it based on the company use case. Okay. So coming to add data source. Currently, earlier three data sources were available. Now Microsoft also added two more, that is MongoDB and URL web address. These two are newly added. Uh, so with terms of Azure AI search, let's suppose you have custom index already created in Azure AI search or through Azure OpenAI Studio, you can directly choose that and start chatting. Another one, if at all you have documents available in your blob storage, you can connect that and it will create an index in Azure AI search and then you can start chatting. This is new feature. Again, it's connecting to MongoDB or Cosmos DB. Next one is URL web address. You can provide your website URL. It will extract information from your website and put it into Azure AI search as index. And finally, to upload files, you have an option to directly upload from the Azure OpenAI Studio instead of going to blob storage. So let's start with the upload file so that I can directly choose from my desktop and start going. Before, in order to, for this upload files to work, you also need to have blob storage because at the end of the day, whatever files you upload, it will be stored in the blob storage. So let's choose one and let's see. Okay, let's choose this one. If you do not have any existing blob storage, you can go to Azure portal, create a new resource, search for storage account, and through here you can configure it. This is the one storage account. Inside that, you also get table storage as well as blob storage. Blob storage is used to store unstructured file data. Yeah. And you can also, there they have also mentioned a link where you can just click and it will directly lead you to the form where it provisions the storage account. Okay. And let's turn on the course. And also now we also need Azure AI search because after it uploads the document into blob storage, then it picks up those document, chunks it down. Like if you have a large document, it will chunk it down into small component, small paragraphs. I can say small chunks. Let's say you have a 20,000 tokens of document. It will you can chunk it down like 1,000 tokens per chunk. and those chunks will be stored as index in Azure AI Search.
Yep. So when you say 1,000 tokens, in Chat GPT, one token is a bit more than half a word. So
Yeah,
if you have 1,000 tokens, it's like 600 words. So a few
yeah,
a couple pages, 2 or 3 pages.
yes, that's correct. So
Hmm.
approximately it goes to 750 words for 1,000 tokens. And okay, so now you need to select the Azure AI search resource. If you don't have any, you can just click on this. It will take you the form where you can provision your Azure AI search. But few things to consider here. There is a free plan also available for Azure AI search, which do not support this chat Azure OpenAI chat with your data. It doesn't support that.
Hmm.
You need to go with a paid plan. So here just takes the resource group and service name and the location. So if you are trying with the free plan, it will not work for chat with your data. You need to go with a paid plan. So it starts from basic until the storage optimized. Okay. So let me choose the one that we have already created. Okay. And this index name, so after it picks up from blob storage and create chunks, and it needs to be stored as an index. So this is the index that we can store it in. So let's say sample idx. You can create any name. It needs to be in lowercase only. And well, there are total 5 strategies of search. One is keyword based search.
Hmm.
Second one is semantic search. Third one is vector search. Fourth one is vector plus keyword. And fifth one is vector plus semantic. So, for any of the use case, you need to test what strategy works best for you, and then you need to fix on that. According to the research by Microsoft, vector plus semantic got the highest accuracy, but it may vary based on use case to use case. So, vector is nothing but just a number representation of your text in a array form. Okay, and let's choose the model. So, this is the model that helps convert your text into vectors, embeddings. Okay, next. And from here you can just choose your file. Currently only these extensions are supported: text, markdown, HTML, PDF, Word document, and PPT. Currently the other extensions are not supported in this.
Okay, so now we need to upload the relevant files, and we've taken some files that we've actually used with a customer, a book that he's written around public speaking. The digital human is called Barry 2, based on Barry, our key client. And we're going to create a digital human, a chatbot based on his book today.
Okay. Yeah. So let's upload the documents that we have. And this is one of the document. Let's upload that. So we currently have these 2 documents.
And maybe it's just worth mentioning. I think one of the exciting things I find with Microsoft Azure is the privacy that you get around the documents. So all of these documents are in a highly secure, private Azure blob storage. We can give access to, let's say, the chatbot to anyone we choose. Based on the security that we put on the chatbot, but they don't get access to the entire document. They just get access to the chatbot.
Yeah, that's correct. Okay, so we have our documents uploaded. Let's go next. So these are the 5 strategies. Basically, since I selected
Mhm.
vectors, so I don't see the other 2 strategies. But yeah, these are the one among there. 3 strategies are here. 2 are not mentioned here. So I can choose one. Let's go with like vector plus keyword.
Hybrid and semantic is then the most advanced, isn't it? It does everything.
Correct. Yeah, hybrid plus semantic is most advanced. but it also incurs additional cost for the semantic search. So apart from the embedding cost, it also has the semantic search cost associated with it. That's monthly.
Let's give it a go. Let's go. One of the suggestions that I've heard with this is typically use the best model you can, use the best search you can to begin with, because
Okay.
you really just want to get the best result. And then once you've done that, you then ratchet down the expense by simplifying some of these search elements that cost less, and
Yeah.
then where needed, updating the system message, etc., the prompts, so that you still get the same quality until you get to the point where you say, okay, I can't go down in cost without incurring a significant quality reduction in that conversation.
Yeah.
But the first goal is always to get the best possible conversation and then ratchet that down to getting a high quality but also a low cost version.
Okay. So since we selected hybrid plus semantic, so if you're selecting it for the first time, make sure you have enabled semantic search on your Azure AI search resource. So let's do that. Let me
Mm-hmm.
show you the option where that feature is available. So we go to the search service, we click on semantic ranker, and here you can choose the plan that you're suitable with. Currently, we selected free plan and it provides 1,000 requests per month. If you exceed that, then you
Okay.
can go with the standard plan.
Okay. So then we're good. Perfect.
So
Thank you.
let's acknowledge and next. You can review and finish. So now ingestion in progress. First thing what it will do, it has already done the first thing like uploading our documents into blob storage, that it has already done. Now it will pick up those documents from blob storage and chunk it down. After chunking it down, it creates embedding using the embedding model and then store them as an index. So based on the document size, this might take anywhere between 2 to 5 minutes and even sometimes 10 minutes.
Yep. And we've got some pretty large documents there. So so that makes sense. Now, if you were to do a website, then it would actually download the contents of the website and it would do all the indexing on that point in time reference of the website. It wouldn't be covered live, I'm assuming.
Correct. So it will extract all the information from your website, basically scrap the data from your website and put it into index. So if you have made any changes into your website, those will not be reflected in the index until you update them.
Yep. hmm Yep. So that's just something to keep in mind. Constant, or having some kind of update process automatically or manually planned for changes if you're going to use a website.
Yeah. So one limitation here, I think we got that warning message. So uh, if you upload directly from add your data, there's a limitation on the amount of data that it can index. Currently, it is at the 65,000 characters. That's the limit the Microsoft has
hmm
set. To overcome this limit, you can basically, you can index your data using your coding, custom methods. There are APIs, client libraries available where you can index your data and directly put it into search index. And that search index, you can directly connect it here. But if you upload your
Okay.
data from here, they have some limitation in place. Yeah. This is a standard response if at all it is not able to query your information. So there are few things to note. Under advanced settings, uh, this option limit responses to your data content. So your it will only reply from your data that you uploaded
hmm
and which is available in the index. And this is a strictness. These two options are newly added. Like how strict you want this model to be. If you keep it at a higher
hmm
level, then it might happen that this response will be higher, that it might not able to return your documents. And
hmm
this one, how
But I
many
mean, so there should be an answer.
Mhm.
Yeah, there should be an answer there. So The reason for not being able to answer that, I'm not 100% sure, or maybe it's just being very strict on that. But let's say, how do you deal with nerves? And let's just see where we're at with
Mhm.
this chat here.
Okay. Yeah. And the one, how many documents you want to retrieve from your search query. So what happens? This search query goes to Azure AI search. It returns back the number of records, that is these documents. This constitutes one document. So this returns back the number of documents that you specify here. Currently, it is set as 5 documents, and from those 5 documents, it will try to answer your query.
Mhm.
Okay, so what was the question? Uh,
Something simple like, how do you deal with nerves when speaking?
okay, something is coming. Yeah. So when it comes to dealing with nerves in public speaking, there are several strategies that can be helpful. Okay. So this is one of the response. Currently, it is not giving me citations, but uh, if it is referring some chunk or document in my data, it gives me the citation that, okay, this citation or this document I am referring to. If you chat more and more, you'll find that citations coming up here.
Okay.
Okay.
So once again, I'm surprised yet that we haven't we're not seeing any. So let's put strictness to 5 because
Mhm.
I'd like to be getting something which is specific to the document, if possible.
Okay.
Um, how do I prepare good notes?
Okay. There we have. So here you can see there are 2 citations coming up, 2 references. So if I click one of
Okay,
them,
perfect.
and so it is
Hmm.
referring both my documents. If I open it, it will show me
Hmm.
what chunk it is referring to. So this is a chunk data that it is referring to for answering this question.
Now, if I look at this question, I think we've had a little bit of issues so far in the quality of the answer.
Mhm.
Um, is it possible that we now say, okay, well, let's try with GPT-4 to see if
Mhm.
we're able to get better quality answers?
Yes, that's correct. Let's try with that. Okay. We can
Okay.
clear chat if required. Okay.
Okay, and let's go back to the first question. So it didn't seem to find an answer. So if we ask
Yeah.
again, how do I become a better speaker?
Okay. Might be it might have truncated because, yeah, it must have not indexed it.
Okay, so it seems like 65,000 characters. That's about what's
That's
that? About
divided by 5. Let's say,
10,000 words, 11,000 words.
oh yeah, 13,000.
Um,
Yeah, approximately 13,000 words it is indexing.
mhm. Which should be a big chunk of let's say the book. Let's ask another question. I need to present online. What should I keep in mind?
Okay, there we have.
Very cool. Yep. So that's very specific. That's more like the answer that I was expecting to get. So it seems like it doesn't deal very well at the moment with very general questions. It deals better with specific questions.
Yeah,
Um,
that's good.
why don't we ask who is Barry?
Hopefully his name is there on the top of the book. Okay, there he is.
Excellent. Okay. So great. Now, for some of these more general questions, then we can start playing maybe with the strictness level to get better answers for general questions. If we say, strictness level 1 or 2, maybe increase the retrieved documents a little
Yes.
bit in case it needs to scrape information from other places. And now let's add something like, how do I become a better speaker?
Okay, there we have. So yeah, it's just
Mm.
changing the settings, tweaking it to get a better answer.
Yep. Excellent. Hey, and we haven't even started on the parameters yet. There's another whole set of parameters that we can start tweaking to get some more interesting results. Now, if we want to put this on a website, you know, let's say Barry has his book and his website, and he wants to add this as a way that people could have a chat conversation, um, you know, with him and some of his knowledge. How would you do that?
Yeah. So here we have an option deploy to. We have two options. Currently, earlier it was only web app, but now they have included the Power Virtual Agent as well. You can connect this interface, not interface, the chat with your data. You can connect your data index with the Power Virtual Agent. And that Power Virtual Agent, you can connect it to your website, Microsoft Teams. But for now, we'll stick to the web application. If you want to deploy this into existing web app, you can choose one
Mhm.
or you can create a new web application. So let's say
Okay,
Barry.
so let's start with create a new one then.
Yeah. So I'll name this as Barry Web App and let's choose a subscription, a resource group, location, let's see, and pricing plan. The good part is for starting and testing purpose, you can deploy it on the free app service plan. Okay. And here you have multiple options. Enable chat history in web app. This uses Cosmos DB to keep track of your chat history so that the second question that you ask, your whole
Hmm.
history will be used as a context to answer the next question. So
Yep,
let's
so very
enable that.
important. Yeah.
Yeah. So this will also create Cosmos DB. Okay, let's deploy that. So by default, it uses single tenant authentication. What does that mean? Anybody from your own organization can only access this web application. If suppose you're building it for
Mhm.
the multiple organization, you can change that authentication into multi-tenant to be able to support multiple organization tenants. And this web
Okay.
application is behind the login. So without login, you cannot access it.
And can you make it, can you remove the login altogether in this
Yes.
simple
We
model?
do have an option to remove the login altogether.
Okay, then you can make it a public access if you choose
Yes.
to.
Yep. Okay, so it might take anywhere between 5 to 10 minutes to deploy.
Hmm.
What it does, it picks up the code from the GitHub. They already have it uh, ready-made code for whole of the process, including the indexing process and the web application code. It's readily available. You can deploy it on your own as well. If you want to make some changes to this web application, like logo, some customization designs, you can do by
Hmm.
picking up that GitHub
Okay.
code and modifying it and redeploying it.
But for someone who doesn't know how to code, this is a great way to start. Once you've
Yes.
built it, you've tested it, then you can take that next step of customizing it and make it more specific, or even building it into an existing web app, if you'd like
Yeah.
to. Fantastic. So while we're finalizing this, so this is just text-based. So then the next question is, okay, how do you make it a digital human? And what kind of digital humans are? And I think this is a good time to talk about that.
Mhm.
Um, so the way I see, the way I describe, there's these two main types of digital humans. Ones which you can predefine, so you know what all of the answers, what all the responses will be. That simplifies obviously things a lot. You can record answers. Um, you can actually even have, you know, use a webcam and answer tens or hundreds or thousands of things individually and collect and collate it on the Asia platform. And you can create a digital human based on known responses. So much more specific. So you always know what it's going to say. So secure in that sense, because you always get, you know, a very specific same answer. Um, or you can say, no, I want actually the flexibility and the natural conversation style of a Chat GPT. Then we build let's say a GPT based chatbot as we've just done. How can we add the digital human element to that? something like Asia, if the questions and answers are predefined, if it has to be live, we then need to go to some kind of streaming service, which obviously will bear a certain cost, will have a certain uncertainty because you don't know what it's going to say or exactly how it's going to say and look, but obviously has the flexibility of having a generative AI conversation that you can connect to. And let's have a quick look at what Azure AI is just coming out with in this space.
Okay. So we have an option recently it introduced they released this live chat avatar where it can be integrated with Chat GPT. Chat GPT can generate the response and you can this live avatar can speak the response in a human like manner, in a digital human manner. And this can be customizable based on, like, you can choose the language that avatar can speak and the voice speaking style. You can also add backgrounds as well. It is also supported in video creation APIs that are supported by this speech studio for live avatar. Okay. And
Okay.
this is one with connects to ChatGPT, and another one that we have in Asia, that is predefined conversation. If you have the question and answers ready with you, you can come to Asia Digital Human Platform, upload a file, and rest all will be taken care of. Like, it will generate all the question and answer pairs. You can approve them, you can unapprove them, which can be used in the final digital human.
Mhm. Yeah.
So
So we've got
once,
basically, depending on the style that you're looking for, you can use an avatar and predefined. You can use actual real video responses where you just speak the responses and get something even more human, even more realistic, or you can go for the full digital GPT based type conversations, but with a deep fake visual there. So pretty exciting stuff. Things are moving really fast in this space, and it's exciting. We can obviously, in these cases, give the support that's needed to go from the idea of creating some kind of a conversational AI, whether it be text or avatar based for a website, build it, test it, and actually allow for full implementation. So I think these are all super exciting steps, all super exciting moves that are happening. Thank you, Jagdish, for your time today. Think, we've shown that you can actually go from scratch and actually create, let's say, a relatively simple chatbot, maybe not optimized, but a first version, in about an hour. But the real work then begins to, make it more accurate, more specific, meet other criteria that you might have for your organization, and then maybe effectively implement that into your existing websites and or add avatars to create that full digital human experience. Well, thank you so much. An absolute star. I love how easy and quickly you can do this, and you make it look so simple that I think gives everyone the appetite to actually get started today. No need to wait. It's something that you can just get on with these days.
thank you.
All right. Have a great afternoon, and thank you for your time.
Yep, you too.
This was the Real Digital Humans podcast. Please like, follow or subscribe to hear more.